The greatest benefit of becoming a skilled public speaker is the ability to influence others. In order to do that, you need to understand how communication works. There are 7 elements that are integral to the speech-making process. They are the source, the receiver, the message, the channel, noise, feedback, and situational and cultural context. Communication is a dynamic process. Both the speaker, or the source, and the listener, or the receiver, participate in communication. Each party simultaneously and continuously performs both sending functions, giving out messages, and receiving functions, or taking in messages. Neither sending nor receiving is the exclusive job of any person. Messages are what is sent between the source and the receiver. In a communicative act, verbal and nonverbal messages both are continually being sent and received. Verbal messages are the words we speak. Nonverbal messages are everything else we do. And if a speaker's voice breaks and he appears to be on the verge of tears, it communicates something powerful to the receiver. Meanwhile, if the receiver checks her watch in the middle of the message, it sends a critical message back to the source, saying, I don't really have time for this conversation. And so we are constantly communicating. Even when we're not the one talking, we're communicating in the things that we're doing. Channels are the media through which the message travels. One communicative event may involve several channels at the same time. What I say is conveyed through the auditory channel. What I do is conveyed through the visual channel. And we may even consider a vocal channel where tone of voice and volume may impact the importance and the meaning of the words I'm speaking. You'll notice the preacher tends to get more forceful and louder when he's making a point that he really wants you to get. And then when he's moving into a very serious, reflective moment in his sermon, he may get real quiet. And both things capture your attention and both convey a different feeling. And that's a channel. They give emphasis. And so when we communicate, it passes through multiple channels. Noise is anything that interferes with our ability to send or receive a message. When we think of noise, we think of sound, but noise doesn't have to be sound. Noise can be physical discomfort. Noise can be a psychological state or condition. It can be an intellectual ability or the environment that can create noise. There are a lot of different things that can create noise. Noise is unavoidable. It's going to happen. It interrupts. It interferes. As a speaker, you simply have to learn to account for it and overcome it. The next element is the situational or cultural context. That is the setting or environment that a communication takes place in. Because every message occurs in a situation with cultural and social meanings, those conditions affect the message. Place and time influence the outcome of any attempt to communicate. For instance, speaking at a youth rally is different than speaking at a youth Christmas banquet. In one instance, you're expected to passionately deliver a word from God with authority and power and anointing. In the other instance, you're probably expected to entertain. There's a vast difference, and part of that difference is the situation and environment that you're communicating in. Another element is feedback. Feedback is the information that we receive in response to a message that we send. Feedback tells us how we're doing. Positive feedback, like applause, serves to reinforce our attitude, reinforce our confidence in what we're doing, and causes us to continue in that area. A speaker, when an audience responds positively, the speaker may stop right there and spend a little bit of time there because he knows he's making a connection. And when we receive negative feedback, such as silent stares, or people looking at their watch, or yawning real big, or perhaps even dozing off to sleep, that leads us to a corrective nature where we start thinking, what do I need to change? How do I get their attention? How do I break through? As a speaker, my job is not just to lecture, my job is to communicate my message. And so those negative feedbacks make me start evaluating how I can better communicate my message. Both positive feedback and negative feedback can have a positive impact on me as a speaker if I work with them. Now, that's the communication model, and all of the parts of that model continuously interact with and affect each other. They are interconnected and interdependent. Every piece of that model is a variable that affects other variables in the system. And when one variable changes, it impacts the whole thing.